Want to speak real Polish from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at polishpod101.com.
Hello everyone, welcome to Top Polish Words. And today we will be doing top 25 Polish phrases. My name is Marzena. Let's start. So the first phrase is cześć. Cześć means hello in Polish. So when you meet your friend, you can say cześć, which would be like saying hello. But then again, you can use cześć to say bye as well. For example, when you meet your friend, you can say cześć, and then when you have to go back home, you can say cześć again. So this one is pretty useful. So our next phrase is dzień dobry. Dzień dobry means good morning in English, but actually what it literally means is dzień, which is a day, and dobry, which is good. So actually what you are saying, it's good day. That's why we can use it through the whole day, not only in the morning. You can say it in the evening as well, or in the afternoon. You can say it to your friends or to your family and to a person you don't know as well. So feel free to use it anytime you want. And our next phrase is Dobreviecho. Dobreviecho means good evening, literally means good evening. For example, through the whole day you would say dzień dobry, but at the end of the day you would say dobry wieczór. Now, actually, a lot of people, it's very difficult to know when can you start saying that, when can you start saying dobry wieczór instead of dzień dobry. So a lot of people I know starts with like dzień dobry, they want to say dzień dobry, but they didn't notice it's already evening and they say like dzień dobry wieczór, which is the funny way of saying that. You can try it if you want. Dobranoc. Dobranoc means good night. So you would usually use it before going to bed, when you want to say bye to your family or to your friends and just you are sleepy, you will just say dobranoc. Dobranoc, it's one word, but it actually came from two different words. So like dobra, which means good, and noc, night. So it literally means good night, but it's one word right now. The next phrase is jak się nazywasz? Jak się nazywasz? Which means, what is your name? If you meet a new person, you can use it, but remember that this phrase would be better to use with people of the same age or people younger, because it literally means, what is your name, not what is your name, sir, or what is your name, ma'am. That's why it's not too good to use for like older people. It's better to use it for your friends, for people the same age, or for younger people, for children as well. So once again, jak się nazywasz? And the next one is nazywam się. So obviously if you ask jak się nazywasz, what is your name, you have to answer that, and that's nazywam się, which means my name is. For example, nazywam się Marzena. So the next phrase is miło mi ciebie poznać. Miło mi ciebie poznać. Which means it's nice to meet you. So obviously when you meet a new person, you ask jak się nazywasz, and you answer nazywam się, like nazywam się Marzena, and then at the end you usually say like it's nice to meet you, and that would be miło mi ciebie poznać. So the next phrase is jak się masz? Jak się masz? Which means how are you? Now, the funny thing is that we don't really ask that a lot in Poland. I mean, we do, but not as often as you do it in English. So when you ask somebody jak się masz, how are you? Be careful, because this person can actually give you the real answer. The next phrase for today is dobrze, dziękuję. A ty? I'm fine, thanks. And you? Dobrze, dziękuję. A ty? I'm fine, thanks. And you? As I told you before, this may not be the answer that you will get. Some people will say so, but some people will just start talking about their problems, about their life, and instead of just getting I'm fine, thank you, and you will get the whole life story of this person and all the problems and everything related. Be careful when you ask this one. It's usually good to ask your friends, people you are closer to, with whom you really want to talk a lot, and then you will get an answer, longer answer. But of course, if you are asked and you don't want to talk about your life, you can just say dobrze, dziękuję, a ty? Proszę. Please. Proszę. Proszę means please in English, and you can use it, for example, when you give somebody something. So like, proszę. Or when you ask somebody to do something, like, proszę, proszę, zrób to dla mnie. Please, please, please do it for me. So going to the next phrase, dziękuję. Dziękuję means thank you in Polish. Well, you can use it to basically anybody you want. When somebody passes you something, you can say, and saying proszę, you can say dziękuję. When somebody invites you inside, saying proszę, proszę, you can say dziękuję as well. When somebody offers you tea or coffee, you can say dziękuję. If you don't want it though, you can say nie dziękuję, which means no, thank you. Nie ma za co. Nie ma za co means you are welcome, but what it actually literally means is there is nothing to be thankful for. So we usually say dziękuję, and the other person would say nie ma za co. The next phrase we have here is tak. Tak means just yes. Whenever you want to say yes, and it's basically the same as in English. So, for example, when you want to use tak, if somebody asks you, do you want a tea or do you want something to drink? And you can say tak. Or you can say, actually adding please, tak, proszę. And when this person passes it to you, you can add dziękuję. The next phrase is nie. Nie means no. For example, if somebody offers you something to drink, if you want it, you can say yes, please, which would be tak, proszę, or tak, poproszę. But if you don't want it, you can say nie, or you can say nie, dziękuję, adding thanks to that. So, do you want something to drink? Nie, dziękuję. And next phrase is dobrze. Dobrze means okay. So, for example, when your friends asks you to go somewhere, or like, do you want to go grab something to eat together? And you can say tak, or you can say dobrze, let's go. Yeah, sure, okay, let's go. Or if they ask you if you want to go together for a trip, you can say yeah, sure, dobrze. Yeah, I want to go. The next phrase is przepraszam. Przepraszam has many different meanings. So it can mean excuse me, but it also can mean I'm sorry. So you would see a lot of Polish people mixing excuse me and I'm sorry in English, because it's actually one word in Polish. So for example, when you stepped on somebody's leg, you can say przepraszam. When you did something wrong, you can say przepraszam. When you want to pass through like crowd of people, you can say przepraszam, przepraszam, and find your way out. If you did something wrong, you can say przepraszam as well. So it's actually a pretty useful one. So it means excuse me, but it means I'm sorry in the same time. Przepraszam. Przepraszam means I'm sorry. Actually, the next phrase is która jest godzina? Która jest godzina means what time is it? If you want to ask somebody, excuse me, what time is it now? You can say przepraszam, która jest godzina? So let's go to the next one. Another very useful phrase. Gdzie jest toaleta? Gdzie jest toaleta? Which means where's the toilet? So gdzie means actually where. Jest means be or to be, and toaleta is toilet. So gdzie jest toaleta means where is the toilet. So if you are in a shopping mall or in a restaurant and you want to ask, excuse me, where is the toilet, you will say, przepraszam, gdzie jest toaleta? The next phrase is poczekaj chwilkę. Poczekaj means to wait, and chwilkę means a moment, and together it means wait a moment, please. When you see your friend going somewhere, but you still want to talk to him or her, and you can just, call them and then say, poczekaj chwilkę. Ile to kosztuje? Ile to kosztuje means how much is this? When you go to a shop, you will say przepraszam, ile to kosztuje? So excuse me, how much is this? Przepraszam, ile to kosztuje? Czy mogę prosić o rachunek? Czy mogę prosić o rachunek? Can I get the check, please? So imagine you are sitting in a very nice Polish restaurant eating pierogi or any other wonderful Polish dish, and you've just finished and you just want to get your bill. So you would just call the waiter saying przepraszam, and then you will add czy mogę prosić o rachunek? And the next one for today is Pomozzi. Pomozzi. This means help, and I hope you will not have to use this one anytime soon. But if you're ever in danger, if you ever are in a very dangerous situation, which I hope you will not be in Poland, you can use this one, saying pomocy. Do zobaczenia. Do zobaczenia means see you later. You can use it when you speak with your friends and with your family or with anyone basically, because it's not super formal, but it's not only reserved to your closest friends. So like for example, we started this one with cześć, which was hello, but it was bye as well. And this one you would use when you speak with your friends, you would say cześć. But then for everybody else, your friends included, you can say do zobaczenia, which means until we see each other again. Potrafię dobrze mówić po polsku. I can't speak Polish very well. Nie potrafię means I can't. Mówić means to speak, and then po polsku means in Polish. So nie potrafię mówić po polsku, it literally means I can't speak Polish very well, or I can't speak in Polish very well if you wanted a very literal translation. When you start learning the language and you are still not so good and you meet like people and you want to tell them that your Polish it's not so good or it's not super good yet, you can use this phrase. Nie potrafię dobrze mówić po polsku. Thank you guys for watching. This was top 25 Polish phrases. And if you like this video, remember to give it a thumb up and leave some comments below. If you have any questions, you can leave it as well. And for more words and phrases, go to polishpod101.com. Thank you and see you again! Hello everyone and welcome to Polish Top Words. So today we will learn top 25 Polish verbs. Być. To be. Być. Być actually means to be, so yeah, you can say like być albo nie być, which just means to be or not to be. And of course, in Polish, all those verbs will be changing, depends on the person. So for example, if I want to say I'm happy, I would just say jestem szczęśliwa. Lubić. To like. Lubić. Lubić means just to like something, so whenever you're asking somebody, what do you like? Or you want to say, I like this, you would use this verb. Of course, change it, depending on the person. For example, you can say, lubisz lody? Do you like ice cream? Robić. To do. Robić. Robić means to do. So you can say, what are you doing today? Co dzisiaj robisz? Mówić. To say. Mówić. So when you translate it to English, it just means to say. You can get angry at somebody. Nie mów takich rzeczy, which means don't say such things. Wyjaśnić. To explain. Wyjaśnić. Wyjaśnić means to explain. When you're angry at somebody or you don't understand something or you want to ask for help and you want to say, can you explain this? You can use this one and you can say, możesz to wyjaśnić? Can you explain this? And depends on your tone, it can be asking for a favor. Możesz to wyjaśnić? Or it can be getting really angry at somebody and just willing them to, explain why they did it and say, możesz to wyjaśnić? Słyszeć, to hear. Słyszeć. Słyszeć means to hear in English. And for example, you can say, słyszałam, że tu mają dobre pierogi. I've heard they have good dumplings here. So, if you're a girl, you would say słyszałam, I've heard. If you're a guy, you would say słyszałem. So, słyszałam, słyszałem. It will change a little bit depending on the gender. You can basically take this sentence and put something different at the end and use it as a kind of set phrase. Słyszałem, że, słyszałam, że. Iść, to go. Iść. Iść means to go. So when you want to ask your friend, where are you going? You can say, gdzie idziesz? Wiedzieć, to know. Wiedzieć. Wiedzieć is translated to English as to know, and it is a little bit tricky verb because people often confuse it with another verb, znać, and both actually are translated as to know into English. So, for example, you can say, nic nie wiem. I do not know anything. Nic nie wiem. I do not know anything. Widzieć, to see. Widzieć. Widzieć means to see. So if you saw like something very weird on the sky, like something that looks like a plane and it's not, and you are not sure if you are actually seeing it or not, you can ask your friend if he or she is seeing it too, saying, widzisz to? You see this? Przyjść, to come. Przyjść, to come. For example, you are at the party and you want to know who is coming. So you ask your friend who is the organizer. Kto przyjdzie na przyjęcie? Who is coming to the party? Myśleć, to think. Myśleć. This one is pretty important since it means to think. When you go shopping with your best friend and you are trying on different clothes and then, you see her in a very, very nice dress, you can say, myślę, że ci to pasuje. I think it suits you. Patrzeć, to look. Patrzeć, which means to look. So, for example, you can say when you saw something weird and you want to show it to your friend or something interesting, popatrz tam. Look there. Chcieć, to want. Chcieć, which means to want. If you have everything you ever wanted and you don't want anything anymore, you can say, niczego więcej nie chcę, which will literally mean, I do not want anything more. Dać, to give. Dać. Dać means to give. So when you go out and you meet this nice guy or a cute girl and you want to ask them for their email address, you'd ask them using dać. Dasz mi swój email? Will you give me your email address? Używać, to use. Używać. Używać means to use. When you see this thing that you've never used before and you want to say, okay, can you help me because I've never used it, you can say, nigdy tego nie używałem, means I've never used it before. Or, nigdy tego nie używałam. If you are a guy, you would say, używałem. If you're a girl, you would say, używałam. Znaleźć, to find. Znaleźć. Znaleźć means to find. Imagine your friend brought you a nice dress and which you are going to wear at a party, but you don't really like it. It doesn't sit you well and you want to ask her to find you something better. So you can say, może uda się znaleźć coś lepszego, which means maybe we can find something better. Wychodzić, to go out. wychodzić. Wychodzić means to go out. It's actually a verb that consists of two parts, which are written together. So wy means like outside, and chodzić means like to walk. So wychodzić means to walk outside, which is just go out. For example, let's imagine you live with your friend and she is going out somewhere and you want to ask her what time are you going out. You can say, o której wychodzisz? Zapytać, to ask. Zapytać. Zapytać means to ask. Sometimes when you want to ask for something which is very difficult to ask for, and, just to be nice, you want to say like, can I ask you something? In Polish you can say, czy mogę cię o coś zapytać? Or you can even ask, excuse me, can I ask you something? Przepraszam, czy mogę cię o coś zapytać? Pracować, to work. Pracować. Pracować is an interesting word. It actually means to work. So you can use it when you want to say, I have never worked in such a company. Nigdy nie pracowałam w takiej firmie. Or if you're a guy, you would say, nigdy nie pracowałem w takiej firmie. Wejść, to enter. Wejść. Wejść means to enter or to come in. Well, when your friend visits you and you want to just say, please come in, please, or just, you can say, wejdź proszę, which means literally come in, please. Czuć, to feel. Czuć, to feel. This one can be pretty useful if you want to say that you do not feel well today and you want to skip work or skip your classes or just cancel some appointment. You can say, źle się dzisiaj czuję, which means I'm feeling bad today. Próbować, to try. Próbować. Próbować means to try. Let's say your friend is visiting and you made this wonderful food, amazing dishes, and you want him or her to try it. You can invite them saying, spróbuj to, which means try it. Zostawić, to leave. Zostawić. Zostawić means to leave. When you're angry or irritated and you don't want people to talk to you and just leave me alone, please, you can say, zostaw mnie w spokoju. Zostaw mnie w spokoju. Which means leave me alone. Zadzwonić, to call. Zadzwonić. So, zadzwonić means to call. And let's say somebody calls you and you cannot really talk right now, so you want to say, okay, I will call you back later. You just say, zadzwonię potem. I will call later. Biegać, to run. Biegać, to run. If you are not one of those sporty person and you don't really like running is totally not your thing, and you want to say, friends invite you, but you are like, sorry, that's not really my cup of tea, and you want to say, sorry, I don't like running, you can say, nie lubię biegać. Nie lubię, or just say, lubię. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching Top 25 Polish Verbs. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave your comments. And for more videos and more vocabulary, go to polishpod101.com. Thank you again and see you next time! Hello everybody, welcome back to Polish Top Words. My name is Marzena and today we will learn top 10 must-know vocabulary for the restaurant. So our first word is Kellner, waiter, and it's a masculine noun. So for example, if a waiter is very rude, you can say ten kelner jest bardzo niegrzeczny. Ten kelner jest bardzo niegrzeczny. This waiter is very rude. And our next word is kelnerka, waitress. So, Kellner is the masculine form, while kelnerka is the feminine. For example, you can say, ile zarabia kelnerka? Ile zarabia kelnerka? How much money does a waitress make? So in general, the service in Poland is not that bad, but sometimes you may be unhappy with something, and if that's the case, it's okay not to tip, because the waiter or the waitress, they usually earn enough to cover their salary. But a rule in Poland would be to tip more or less 15-20%, but it's obviously up to you. So if you are more than happy with the service, you can go for 20%. If you are not so happy, you can go for 10 or just leave. Nobody will be angry at you. Our next word is almost the same as the English one, and it's menu. Menu. And with so many different restaurants, maybe there is some food you don't eat, something you don't like, and there is like vegetarian menu, and there is a vegan menu, and there is of course all the other types like pescatarian menu. So for example, when you walk in the restaurant and you are not so much into fish or meat, you can just ask, czy mają państwo menu wegetariańskie? Do you have a vegetarian menu? And surprisingly, even though Polish cuisine is so heavy on meat, we do have plenty, and I mean plenty, vegetarian restaurants spread all over the Poland, but especially in Warsaw. Warsaw is being known as European capital of vegetarian food and vegan food. And of course, one of the very important words when you are in the restaurant is zamówienie, order. Zamówienie, order. So zamówienie comes from a verb zamawiać, which means to order. So in English it's the same, basically almost the same word. It's just noun and a verb, order and to order. In Polish it's zamówienie as the noun and zamawiać as the verb. So the waiter can come to your table and ask, czy mogę przyjąć zamówienie? May I take your order? Another very important word, not only for restaurant, but in general, is woda, water. Woda means just water. And I know that in some countries you can get water for free in a restaurant, but in Poland you pay for it always. Be careful when you order it, just check on the menu what the price is, because it can be actually pretty high, almost the same as juice or even beer sometimes. And we do have both sparkling and non-sparkling water. It's very popular. Both are. So, for example, if you are the kind of person who doesn't like sparkling water, you would like to ask for non-sparkling one, you would say, poproszę wodę niegazowaną. I would like to have non-sparkling water. And of course, when you finish the meal, the most important thing is dessert. Dessert. Dessert, you probably feel like you've heard it somewhere because it sounds so much like the English word. Dessert is dessert. 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 So when the waiter or the waiters will be taking your order, they will probably ask at the end, czy życzy sobie pani coś na deser? Would you like something for the dessert? So we've got a lot of different desserts in Poland, and one of the most famous one would be szarlotka, which is an apple pie served with ice cream and with whipped cream. Another very good one, but available, I think, only for Christmas, is the Pomozzi cake, which is the best for me. I like my favorite dessert ever. And of course, there's a lot of other pies. There's a wonderful cheesecake, very different from what you will see in all the other countries. So please be sure to try it out. Szef kuchni. Chef. So if you go with your friends to this very nice restaurant and you know that the chef here is very, very famous, you can say in Polish, szef kuchni w tej restauracji jest bardzo znany. The chef in this restaurant is very famous. Fast food. Fast food, which is just fast food. I guess the accent is more like Polish. And then another thing is that, you know that in Polish we change nouns, we change the endings. So even though it's an English word, we would still change it. So it's like fast food, fast foodów, fast food. So even though it's an English word, we'll still change it, like fast food sometimes would just become fast foodów. And we do have a Polish type of fast food as well, which is pretty old. And this Polish type, it's actually Polish hot dog. And we still call this hot dog, but there is no and there is no sausage or anything or any meat inside. It's just mushrooms. And it comes from the time, long time ago, when we literally didn't have meat. It was very difficult to get meat. Even though people had money for that, they just couldn't buy it. So that's the invention of that time, and I still remember it. Oh my gosh, when I was little, I just loved to go with my mom and buy those hot dogs, and we called them hot dogs, but they were like hot dogs with mushrooms, and that's it, just mushrooms, like just the bun with mushrooms. You cannot see them so often anymore. You can still probably when you just look around, but it's not that common anymore. If you are like me and you don't really like fast food, you will say nie lubię fast foodów. I don't like fast food. Restauracja, restaurant. And you can already hear it sounds very much like the English word restaurant because it's restaurant. Restauracja, restauracja. And I guess you know that a lot of restaurants are being judged by having Michelin star or not having it. I don't think there is a lot of restaurants in Poland with Michelin star, but the one that do have it, it will be extremely, and I mean it like extremely expensive. Nevertheless, if you find one, you can always say ta restauracja ma gwiazdkę Michelin. This restaurant has a Michelin star. Rachunek, bill. Rachunek comes from a very old Polish word which we probably don't use anymore. A verb, rachować. Rachować means just to count. And right now we would just say liczyć, not rachować. But this word, its form, it's still there in the word rachunek. Rachunek. And it's also very important to just look at your bill before you go back home, because sometimes people may make mistakes, on purpose or not on purpose, but just it happens. And if something is wrong, you can always say, Przepraszam, ale ten rachunek się nie zgadza. I'm sorry, but this bill is not correct. Thank you for watching. This was Top 10 Must Know Vocabulary for the Restaurant. Be sure to like this video. And please tell us in comments what kind of Polish food do you like. And if you want more content like this, please go to polishpod101.com. See you!
Cześć!
Cześć.
Jak się masz?
Dobrze, a ty?
Świetnie.
Cześć.
Hej,
Jak masz na imię?
jestem Gosia, a ty?
Jestem Alex.
Miło mi. Fajne masz imię.
Dzięki.
Jak ci idzie nauka?
Chyba dobrze.
Jakieś problemy?
Tak, wymowa. Litery ż albo ź są bardzo trudne.
Nie martw się, dobrze ci idzie.
Przepraszam panią,
Tak?
upuściła pani rękawiczkę.
Naprawdę?
Tak, proszę.
Dziękuję bardzo. Hej, Alex.
Cześć.
Skąd jesteś?
Jestem z Australii, a ty?
Jestem z Polski.
Super.
Hello everybody, my name is Marzena and welcome to Polish Top Words. Today we will learn 10 questions you should know in Polish. So let's start. Jak się nazywasz? What's your name? Jak się nazywasz? What is your name? So if you meet somebody and you ask this person, jak się nazywasz? You may hear an answer like, nazywam się Ania. My name is Ania. Ania is actually a pretty common name in Poland. Or nazywam się Marzena. My name is Marzena. Jak się masz? How are you? Jak się masz means how are you? And you may hear an answer like dobrze, which means good. But actually, probably more often you will hear a very, very long answer and it won't be good. Because in Poland, it is not so common to ask, jak się masz? You do ask that, but you ask that only, people you are very close friends with. And you kind of need to expect a longer answer and that people will actually tell you the truth about their life and what wrong happened in it. And it's usually wrong because Polish people love complaining. So be careful with this one. If you don't have time for a longer talk, just don't ask it. Skąd jesteś? Where are you from? Skąd jesteś? Where are you from? So you may hear this question if somebody notices that you are not from Poland. And for example, if you are from America, you can answer z Ameryki, from America. So basically you just put z and then the country. Kiedy masz urodziny? When is your birthday? And if you make new friends, you may hear a question like Kiedy masz urodziny? Which means when is your birthday? And a good answer for that would be just giving, the month and day. You don't have to answer in a whole sentence. So you can say, for example, 8 lutego. 8 lutego, which is February 8th. This is actually my birthday. Gdzie mieszkasz? Where do you live? Another question you may hear is Gdzie mieszkasz? Gdzie mieszkasz? Gdzie mieszkasz means where do you live? And when you can answer like in details, telling the street, saying the street and everything else, or you can just, say mieszkam w Krakowie, which means I live in Krakow. Gdzie pracujesz? Where do you work? Another question you may hear in Poland is Gdzie pracujesz? Where do you work? And it can be about the place or it can be about the company. So, for example, if you don't want to say the company or you are like, reluctant, you just want to say, okay, I work in Krakow, you say pracuję w Krakowie. If you want to say the company, on the other hand, you can just say pracuję w and change Krakow, to the name of a company. Jaki jest twój numer telefonu? What's your phone number? If somebody likes you really much, then they may ask about your phone number, saying, jaki jest twój numer telefonu? What is your phone number? So you can answer that saying, mój numer telefonu to 693 408 896, which means my number is 693 408 896. Just notice that in Polish we usually break it into like groups of 3 and we say not 693, we say 693, which is 693. Gdzie się nauczyłeś polskiego? Where did you learn Polish? Now, because studying Polish it's not so common and you don't actually learn it at school in a lot of countries, you may hear a question, gdzie nauczyłeś się polskiego? Where did you learn Polish? Well, you can answer, for example, w szkole językowej, which means in language school. Czy lubisz polskie jedzenie? Do you like Polish food? Another question you may hear as a foreigner is, of course, do you like Polish food? Which in Polish is, czy lubisz polskie jedzenie? Czy lubisz polskie jedzenie? You can answer whatever you want, like if you like it. If you don't like it, don't feel, like embarrassed and just say it straight because people will just feed you with Polish food that you don't like. But if you like it, you can say uwielbiam, which means I love it. Kiedy przyjechałeś do Polski? When did you come to Poland? Now, once you come to Poland and you start living there, you will probably hear this one a lot. Kiedy przyjechałeś do Polski? When did you come to Poland? So, if it's like for you 3 years, you can say przyjechałem do Polski 3 lata temu. I came to Poland 3 years ago. And that's all for today. We learned 10 questions you should know in Polish. Thank you for listening. And remember to like this video and to check polishpod101.com. Thank you again and see you next time. Hello everybody, my name is Marzena. Welcome to Top Polish Words, and today we will learn how to respond to how are you? Jak się masz? How are you? So our first phrase for today is jak się masz? Jak się masz? Jak się masz, or how are you, is something you can use with your friends, with your family, with somebody you know. If you are talking to somebody you don't know, or if you are talking to somebody you should have a respect for, like to your teacher or to your boss, somebody you are not very familiar with, then you will not say jak się masz. You will say jak się pan ma, if it's a guy, or jak się pani ma, if it's a girl. A ty, and you. A ty. A ty, and you. Basically, a ty, which means and you, is also used, the same as jak się masz. It's also used to close family, to close friends, to somebody you know, because ty means you, and we don't say that in Polish as often as in English, so you use it to people you know, to people the same age. But if somebody is older than you and you owe them respect, you will not say ty. You will say pan if it's a guy, or pani if it's a girl. So you will say not a ty, but you will say a pan, a pani. Co u ciebie ostatnio słychać? How have you been recently? Co u ciebie ostatnio słychać? How have you been recently? Co u ciebie ostatnio słychać? We basically use it more or less as often as how are you. So jak się masz? Co u ciebie słychać? And you can add recently. So co u ciebie ostatnio słychać? You can use both, whichever you like. Just remember that if you ask a Polish person, how are you, or have you been recently? Jak się masz? Co u ciebie słychać? Co u ciebie ostatnio słychać? You may hear the whole answer. So a lot of people will not only say good or fine and how are you, they will actually start to elaborate on their whole life. So they may say, oh, I'm very bad, or I have problems here and there. So unless you have a few minutes to listen to that, don't ask. W porządku. I'm fine. Now, how can you answer questions like that? So you can say w porządku. W porządku. Which means I'm fine. If you don't want to talk about it, you just say w porządku. I'm fine. Nie jest źle. I'm not bad. You can say nie jest źle, which basically means I'm not bad. But literally it means it's not bad. So if you don't want to say that, well, I'm great, because you are not great, but you are like just fine, you can say nie jest źle, nie jest źle. U mnie też dobrze. I'm fine too. If you are fine too, you can say u mnie też dobrze. I'm fine too. U mnie też dobrze. Which literally means at my place is good as well. U mnie też dobrze. U mnie, at my place, też dobrze. Is fine as well, is good as well. Źle się czuję. I'm feeling bad. Another one is I'm feeling bad, which in Polish you will say źle się czuję. Źle się czuję. The same for guy or girl. Źle się czuję. And this one, I think you will hear a lot. People like to complain, and Polish people, we do love to complain. So that one that you may actually hear. Źle się czuję. Ze mną wszystko w porządku. I'm okay. So whenever you want to say I'm okay, you can say ze mną wszystko w porządku. I'm okay. Ze mną wszystko w porządku. W porządku means just in order. So if you want to translate it literally, it means with me, ze mną, wszystko, everything is in order, w porządku. Ze mną wszystko w porządku. With me, everything is in order. So I'm fine. Or just short, you can say w porządku. Czuję się świetnie. I'm great. Czuję się świetnie. Czuję się świetnie, which basically means I'm great. If you are okay, you can just say, oh, czuję się świetnie. Bywało lepiej. It used to be better. If you are not too well, but you don't want to elaborate, you can say bywało lepiej. Bywało lepiej means it used to be better. So if you are not too bad, but you are not in a very, very good situation right now and you don't want to elaborate on it, you can just simply say bywało lepiej. And the other person will know that, well, it's not the best time for you. Bywało lepiej. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Once again, my name is Marzena and today we learn how to respond to how are you. How would you respond to how are you? Please leave us a comment and remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel and go to polishpod101.com for more content like that. See you!
Hi, I'm Joanna. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Polish expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Polish. We'll start speaking right away. But first, it's important to clarify that in Polish often there is a difference between formal and informal language. Let's first see how Polish people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Hi, I'm Joanna. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Miło mi cię poznać means nice to meet you, but Polish people don't really use this phrase. In informal situations, it's better if you just say miło mi. Start by saying cześć, jestem, then say your name. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Finally, if you want, say miło mi. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Miło mi. And now let's see the same sentence in formal speech. Dzień dobry, nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi pana poznać. Good day, my name is Joanna Suchecka. Nice to meet you. Dzień dobry, nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi pana poznać. This is what you say if you're talking to a man. If you're talking to a woman, say dzień dobry, nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi panią poznać. Dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi panią poznać. So, what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these expressions together. Cześć has been substituted with the formal greeting dzień dobry, Polish for good day or good morning. Jestem Joanna also changed. Jestem simply means I am. However, during a formal self-introduction, you should avoid saying this. It's better to say nazywam się Joanna Suchecka, which means my name is Joanna Suchecka. Also, in formal situations, please remember to say your full name. Finally, pay attention to the ending. We went from miło cię poznać to miło mi pana or panią poznać. We changed cię into pana or panią. If you use cię, you're addressing someone around your age. But if you find yourself in a formal situation or talk to a person who's older than you, use pana to address a man or panią to address a woman. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Polish is cześć. Jestem Joanna. Miło mi. The formal way to introduce yourself is dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi pana poznać. Or dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi panią poznać. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. If you feel confused about the nice to meet you part, feel free to skip it. As I mentioned before, Polish people don't use it much. When you introduce yourself, it's a good habit to shake hands. It doesn't matter whether you're meeting a man or a woman. Do the handshake. Remember to make it quite firm. If your hand is too loose, it gives the other person a bad impression. We also say it feels like holding a dead fish. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase Przepraszam. Czy mówisz po angielsku? Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word Przepraszam, which means excuse me. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to apologize in Polish. It's very easy. First of all, good news. We don't differentiate between I'm sorry and excuse me. In Polish, we have just one word, przepraszam, which can be used in both situations when we want to apologize or draw someone's attention. There's also no difference between formal and informal situations. It's always the same przepraszam. Let's go through some situations in which przepraszam can be used. If you want to draw someone's attention, just put przepraszam in front of the question. For example, przepraszam, czy to miejsce jest wolne? Excuse me, is this seat occupied? Or przepraszam, jak dojść do dworca? Excuse me, how can I get to the train station? In such a case, you can modify the question by adding panią if you're addressing a lady or pana if you're addressing a man. For example, przepraszam panią, jak dojść do dworca? Excuse me, ma'am, how can I get to the train station? The meaning is exactly the same as before. We just emphasize the gender of a person who we talk to. You can choose whatever version you like better. Both are correct and polite. The other situation in which we use przepraszam is when we apologize. As I mentioned before, we have only this one word for making an apology. We can use it both in formal and informal situations. If you want to make your apology more complex, you could use this phrase. Jestem ci winien przeprosiny. Jestem ci winien przeprosiny. Please note that this is spoken by a man. Woman would say, jestem ci winna przeprosiny. Jestem ci winna przeprosiny. This phrase means I owe you an apology. Usually, after saying this, you are expected to explain what you did wrong or the reason why you think you owe someone an apology. There's one colloquial word used to apologize among young people. It's almost the same as the English sorry. We say sorry. Sorry. It's okay to say it to your friends, but only in the case of a small mistake, something not very serious. For example, when you step on your friend's foot or when you want to refuse going out. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. Making an apology in Polish is very easy. It's enough to just say przepraszam. Here, you don't have to worry about speaking formally or informally, or the age and gender of the person you are talking to. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Polish. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Gotowi? Are you ready? Let's start. There are two ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest one. It's just one word. Dziękuję. Dziękuję. Dziękuję means thank you. When saying thank you very much, you just need to add bardzo. Dziękuję bardzo. If we want to thank a friend, usually we use a different, more casual word. Dzięki. Dzięki. Dzięki is very similar to the English thanks, so you shouldn't use it when your friend did something especially nice for you or when the situation is serious. We usually use it to thank for small favors. For example, if a friend bought a drink for us, lent us a pen, helped us carry our bags, and so on. How do you answer? It's easy. Here are two different ways to do it. The first is nie ma za co. Nie ma za co. This means you're welcome. Nie ma za co can be used with anybody, except in a very formal situation. In such cases, it's better to use this expression. Przyjemność po mojej stronie. Przyjemność po mojej stronie. Literally, this phrase means pleasure is on my side. It's not a very common thing to say among young people or between friends and family members. but it will be considered very good manners if you answer with this expression in a formal situation, such as while talking to your boss or speaking to someone much older than you. You can also simply say it to someone you don't know very well. So when someone says dziękuję to you, you can reply with nie ma za co or przyjemność po mojej stronie. If you hear dzięki, it might be a bit too much to respond to this casual phrase by saying nie ma za co or przyjemność po mojej stronie. So how might you react then? You have two options. First one is just to say nothing. Don't worry, it's a normal thing to do. The second option is to say spoko. Spoko. This means something like it's cool. If you want, you can also answer using this phrase. Nie ma problemu. Nie ma problemu. This means it's no problem. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. If you want to keep it simple, just use dziękuję or dziękuję bardzo when you want to thank someone. It doesn't matter whether the situation is formal or informal. It's always the same. Remember not to say przyjemność po mojej stronie to your friends, because it will sound a little bit weird. If someone thanks you saying dzięki, just answer spoko. But please note that these two words are very casual. In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Polish, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you are saying, even if their answer is no. Here's an informal way to say it. Czy mówisz po angielsku? Czy mówisz po angielsku? Czy is a particle which has no meaning. It's similar to the English do. In Polish, verbs change depending on the pronoun that is used. Since you can understand what the pronoun is by looking at the verb conjugation, we usually skip the pronoun itself. That's why there's no pronoun after czy. Next, we've got the verb mówisz, which means speak. Then there's po, which we always have to put right before a language name. And finally, angielsku, which means English. We're now going to make this sentence formal. First of all, we have to change mówisz into mówi, because the pronoun is changed from you into a respectful pronoun meaning sir or ma'am. Then we add pan, which means sir, or pani, which means ma'am. Everything else stays the same. Czy mówi pan po angielsku? Czy mówi pani po angielsku? Czy mówi pan po angielsku? Czy mówi pani po angielsku? Adding przepraszam, excuse me, makes the sentence more polite. Przepraszam, czy mówi pan po angielsku? Przepraszam, czy mówi pani po angielsku? The response you will receive could be one of these four. Tak, yes, tak, trochę, a little, trochę, nie, no, nie, nie mówię po angielsku. No, I don't speak English. Nie mówię po angielsku. Since the last one is a negative statement, we need to say nie before the verb mówię. Notice also that the verb is slightly different than before. Remember, the verb changes depending on the pronoun used. We are now talking about ourselves, so the sentence is nie mówię po angielsku. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Polish people study other European languages at school, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute po angielsku with po niemiecku for German, po rosyjsku for Russian, po włosku for Italian, po hiszpańsku for Spanish, po francusku for French. In this lesson, we will learn some of the most common greetings used in Poland. Gotowi? Are you ready? Zaczynamy. Let's start. There are a few informal greetings in Polish. Cześć. Cześć. Cześć means hi or hello. Another informal greeting is siema. Siema. This phrase also means hi, but it's used only by young people. Another very common greeting is hej. Hej. Hey. Hey is very easy because it's exactly the same as English hey. All these greetings are very informal, and we should only use them with friends or close relatives. Now let's move on to formal greetings in Polish. There are only two that you need to know. We'll start with dzień dobry. Dzień dobry. Literally, dzień dobry means good day. We can use dzień dobry during the whole day, from early morning until evening. If it's the evening, we would say dobry wieczór. Dobry wieczór. What should you say when you leave? Polish people usually say do widzenia when living in a formal situation. Do widzenia. Do widzenia means goodbye. If, however, we are saying goodbye to friends or relatives, we can use the informal papa. Pa, or simply pa. Now you can greet people and say goodbye in many different ways in Polish. Let's review them all again. First, formal greetings. Dzień dobry. Use this phrase during the day. Dobry wieczór. Use this phrase in the evening. The informal greetings are cześć, siema, hej. When living in a formal situation, we say do widzenia. And in an informal situation, it's papa or just pa. Easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Joanna's insights. Do you remember siema? It's an abbreviation of jak się masz, which means how are you? But we just use it in the same way as hi. It's a very common greeting among young people. You will find, as you continue to study Polish, that new greetings constantly appear among young people who often come up with new uses for well-known phrases or their abbreviations.
Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.